Info. And every Friday, I come on here to share information and resources that you or someone you know needs. So it's really important that you hit the like button and the share button because we're going to be talking about some stuff today that will be very helpful to you and your loved ones. And as you know, we are a nonprofit and we could not do the work that we do without the support of our sponsors. So I have to give a big thank you to Aetna. They are a Medicare provider here in the state. Also, Oak Street Health. They are a primary care physician's office. They even provide transportation and they have locations across the state. There's also a huge thank you to United Healthcare. They are also a Medicare provider. You can reach out to Jennifer Barrows over there. She has a team that speaks multiple languages. Also, Tamarisk Assisted Living Facility. They are a little assisted living facility right over by the Rhode Island Mall. Is it still called the Rhode Island Mall? Maybe it's considered the Warwick Mall. But right there in the center of the state. And they are a great facility that really treats your loved one like family. So reach out to Sean or Susan over at Tamarisk if you are looking for an assisted living that really feels like home. This that you're seeing here, this is through the magic of 321 Media. Ben Barber is an amazing producer who makes this look good and makes this look easy. And I believe he's the only company around that is doing this kind of work. So if you want to do something like this, give Ben a call. Also, I'm sure you have visited rielderinfo.com and you will see it is straightforward, easy to navigate, easy to understand, and that is through the work of England Studio. They are an award-winning web design team that really looks at the user and how they interact with websites to make sure that your website is as best as possible for the person using it. So I really encourage you, if you need any kind of web work, reach out to England Studios because they're really good. And they're cool guys too, besides that. So today I wanted to take some time to share a little story and ways that this might have maybe gone a little easier. So a dear friend of mine recently lost her dad. Not expected at all, which that alone is a heartbreak. And the blessing that her dad left is that he was someone who was really, really very organized. We're talking about files actually in the file folder, in the filing cabinet. These are things that I aspire to do because a lot of times my folders are on top of the filing cabinet waiting to get folded. But no, this gentleman had it all in order. And it made perfect sense. But there wasn't a conversation with his daughter about what is the order that everything is in and where do we find the paperwork necessary if something were to happen. So this was a completely unexpected event. So although there may have been time at some point prior to his passing to have the conversation, it's a conversation that we don't often like to talk about, of, hey, if I can't express to you for whatever reason, maybe I'm in the hospital or maybe I've passed, here's where you're going to find all my information. And here is my logic. Okay. And it's important to have that conversation about where are the bank accounts? Do you still have paperwork from bank accounts that are closed or banks that are no longer in existence? I mean, do you really need to keep that Old Stone Bank passbook because Old Stone's been gone for a really long time? It's important that you streamline the paperwork that you have. Okay. Now, I can't offer you any kind of financial advice. You all know that. I don't Don't do financial advice. But if you have, say, your electric bill from 2019 and you've already paid that bill, you don't have to keep it. You can thin out your files. And that's something that if someone needed to step into your place and write out your checks for you, it is something that can make it easier. Okay. There are additional steps that you can take by, of course, naming someone as your financial power of attorney. But I think we've talked before that naming somebody as your financial power of attorney really does give someone a lot of power to handle all of your finances. And maybe you're just not ready for that. Okay. And that's totally understandable. But have the conversation with, here's my checkbooks. Here are the bills that are coming into the house on a regular basis. Because sometimes there's things that we get and kind of in the back of our head, we know it's coming. But if someone were stepping into our position, then they may not realize. So here's what I mean by that. There was recently an article in the Providence Journal about an individual who had some medical crisis. And it resulted in him being in either the hospital or the nursing home over a period of like 6 months. And in that window of time, there had been a water bill that had come in. Well, he wasn't thinking about it. He was thinking about getting well, right? So when he got home, didn't even realize the fact that the water bill had come and the time for it to be paid has passed. Family member was helping him, take care of the electric, which we use every day, and the electric bill comes to mind, and the gas bill. Again, we use it regularly, particularly now when it's cold. They knew to pay that bill, but they missed the water bill. Okay? And in the end, in the Providence Journal story, this gentleman lost his house. It went to tax auction, and the house was sold for roughly $2,000 because he didn't pay his water bill. Now, water bills are one of those things that don't come every day. They don't come every month in some communities. So it's having those conversations with your loved ones, with the people you trust, to say, hey, you know what? Our house insurance, that comes due in July and November and March. So we need to make sure that that's on a list of bills that need to get paid. Maybe you have a folder. Here are the house bills folder. Here are the ones that are paid. Here are the ones that come at different times. And communicate that information to your loved one, because it's going to make it easier if maybe you're just sick, you're under the weather, and these things need to be taken care of. Consider if you trust someone, okay, and you're looking for some help, look at having your loved one maybe set up with you online banking. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to do your banking online, but it does allow someone to be able to look at the account to make sure that things are getting paid in the way that they're supposed to. It also provides another set of eyes to make sure that, say, nobody got a copy of your credit card and is now charging things inappropriately. Okay? Because now there's a second set of eyes who can see, go online right away and check and use that gas, the credit card at the gas pump. And unfortunately, that number got taken. And yes, that really does happen to everybody of all ages. So it's always good to have that double check. If there are pieces of information, say, for example, doctors that you visit, you want to put that information into a file as well, so that if you're having some difficulty, your loved one, the person that you want to help you with these things, has a list of Here's who your cardiologist is. Here is your neurologist. Here's your eye doctor. Here's your ear doctor. Here's the podiatrist. Have all your doctors listed and their phone numbers. Because if you're not feeling well and you say, oh, call my doctor, your loved one might not know who that doctor is. And sometimes, practices are really large and they may not actually divulge that, in super practice ABC, that, Dr. Smith is caring for your mom or dad. They may not even acknowledge that your mom or dad or your loved one is a patient of theirs. Okay. So it's really important that you create that list for your loved one. If you are seeing mental health providers, vast majority of the time will not acknowledge and cannot acknowledge under HIPAA that you are receiving services from them. So it's important that you not only, in that case, notify your loved one who is your provider, but also notify your providers that your loved ones can get the information about you. And that, we've talked about our healthcare powers of attorney, and those are super important. Sometimes it's not necessarily a healthcare power of attorney that you need. Sometimes it's a HIPAA release that you need, and that is something that your doctor's office can provide you. And let me just give you an example to help you with that. So your healthcare power of attorney will be the one who can make decisions for you about your healthcare when you can't make decisions for yourself. Awesome. We've talked about that. Check some of our previous shows. You'll see lots of information about that because it's really important. But sometimes what we need is somebody who can just simply, on our behalf, talk to the doctor's office. Not asking medical questions, but it could be something like, I'm the neighbor and I have to take you to the doctor, but I have my own appointments. So I need you to give the doctor permission to just talk to me to schedule your appointment so that I can drive you there and I can coordinate with the doctor's office directly. So it's not, I'm going to the neighbors to say, okay, I have these dates available. Then you're calling your doctor to say, oh, do you have appointments in this time frame? Oh, the doctor doesn't have appointments in this time frame. Oh, not. How about these days? If you sign a HIPAA release at your doctor's office and give someone permission to have conversations with your doctor, they're not making decisions for you. They're just having conversations. You can even limit what the doctor's office can say. It streamlines the process so that that person who is maybe giving you a ride and trying to coordinate your visits is able to have that conversation directly with the doctor. So it's just like one of those little things that can make a big difference and help us stay independent as we age. Now it's interesting because I'm talking about, setting things up for people to be able to come and help us, right? And you think, well, I want to stay independent. That's great. I want you to be independent. I want to be independent. That doesn't change as we get older, okay? But sometimes you have to look at, where are there small acceptable trade-offs, okay? So if you get, say, all of your bills in order and you communicate with someone, here are the bills that are due. Here is the banks that I deal with. Here are the financial advisors, the retirement companies that I deal with. You're sharing that information, okay? You're not necessarily sharing all of the power about that. So you're still retaining your independence, okay? But if there's an emergency, you have someone who can step in and help you so that you can regain your independence without, say, losing your house because the water bill didn't get paid. So that you're not coming out of the hospital to a house where the electric has been cut off or the heat has been cut off because the bill wasn't paid. It is still supporting you in remaining independent. By giving the doctor's office permission to have conversations with other people who can help you get back and forth to the doctor, you're actually maintaining your independence. You're more likely to lose your independence if it is a situation that you haven't told anybody anything, you're sick, you can't be bothered to even make the phone calls, and you never gave anybody permission to make those phone calls for you. You've now become a lot more dependent on people, and you have lost part of your independence by not sharing that information. So it's these kinds of things that it's really important to think about from a long-term perspective. It is building the foundation of support that we will all need as we get older. But if we build that foundation a little bit at a time, have those conversations with our loved ones about what information we have, what information we need, where to find it, what is the organization system in our file cabinets, or if we don't have a file cabinet and we're using a backpack, what is our organization system of finding the bills in that backpack? Okay? There's no judgment. We all have our own ways of doing things. But understand a lot of times it's our own way, and other people need to be able to follow our logic. So I wanted to take this time today, send out condolences to my friends and her family. Um, it was not an expected passing that happened. So although her dad was super organized, she's working on finding what his method of organization was. And I want to make sure that all of you watching aren't going to have to go through what she is going through. And I want it to be easy for you to care for someone else and for you to get the care that you need, because I care about you guys. You see me every day. You know that you can pick up the phone and call me at any time. 401-585-0509, and I really do answer unless I'm like doing something like this. I want you to be as independent as you absolutely can for as long as you can. And when you get help, get the right size help for what you need. So I have really enjoyed taking today and talking to you guys. I hope this was helpful. If there's some topics that you want to learn more about, that you want to see come on Friday Friends, drop me a note in the comments section, and I will make sure that that happens, because I want to make sure that we're answering the questions that you have and not just answering questions that are happening out there. Okay? So drop a note in the comments section. Let me know what it is that you would like to learn more about. All right. In the meantime, I really want you, if possible, to come down and see me on November 2nd from 3 to 6 at the Edward King House in Newport. Parking will be free at that time. It is going to be the largest senior and caregiver resource fair that has ever been held in the East Bay area. There will be breakout sessions on Social Security. You know, there's a big COLA coming in, 8.7% increase. We're going to talk about that. We will have speakers talking about dementia and how to apply for veterans benefits. You can even apply for veterans benefits right on site. We're going to talk about the role of senior centers in our communities. They do amazing work. And I'll give a short presentation so that the folks who come really get an understanding of how RI Elder Info came to be and why we are this mighty nonprofit that is dedicated to educating our community so that we can remain independent as we get older, because we need information we can trust, right? And as a nonprofit, of course, if you would like to support us, we would be more than grateful. We have now been here for 4 years. We will be having a birthday celebration very soon. Watch for announcements on that, because that's going to be fun. But we've been around for 4 years, and we couldn't do it without the help of our donors and our supporters. So if you want to donate, please hit the donate button. You can use PayPal. You can mail us a check. If you are starting your holiday shopping early, you can use Amazon Smile and choose RI Elder Info as your donation, your Amazon supporting donation. Um, we are always in need of that little extra to help us get by so that we can continue to bring information and resources out to the community and support people staying independent and helping caregivers make the best, most informed decisions they can for their loved ones. So I look forward to seeing you all again next week. We're going to have a great conversation, very, very timely next week regarding the LIHEAP program and heating assistance. And I look forward to seeing you all again next week right here on social media and on our podcast. In the meantime, be well and be kind.
If you liked this video, please follow us on social media and subscribe on YouTube. For more information, visit rielderinfo.com or call 401-585-0509. If you have any questions, email deb@rielderinfo.com.